Hello, I'm the writer, editor, and director of Electrical Violator. I also act in it for exactly one scene.
You let me violate you.
This film was made for a high school film competition. Basically, all the film students who wanted to participate were given 3 prompts on October 1st, and we had to use all those prompts and make a 60-second film, which would be played at a local theater at the end of the month. So about a month to work on it, and I was pretty familiar with the contest going in. In my sophomore year, I made a film called Violator, and last year I made a film called Tracings of Death, which won Audience Choice Award, which was neat. Um, and last year the prompts were that we had to include a line of dialogue, a prop, and 15 seconds of old film footage, and there were some rules onto that. This year, there were a lot more rules, and they were a lot more specific. The main rule was that it had to be 60 seconds. It couldn't go above that time limit, excluding credits. And then the first part of the prompt, which is the second rule, was that the theme of the film had to be that technology can be evil. And then the second prompt, third rule, was that the characters could only communicate through technology. And then the fourth rule and the final prompt was that there had to be at least one shot that was lit by like a screen, like a eerie, creepy kind of screen. The fifth rule was that there could be no substance abuse, profanity, violence, anything like that. And then the sixth rule was that, there could be no guns. And then the seventh rule was that there could be no knives. Because I guess there were too many knives in the films last year. The eighth rule was that we couldn't make anything gross or uncomfortable really in any way because, there's going to be kids and stuff at the theater. And then the ninth rule was that, we had to make it scary. But then the 10th rule was that, not too scary because, there's going to be kids there. Because the event where they play all the movies is marketed towards families and kids, we're supposed to keep that in mind while making the movies. And so the teacher was not so thrilled when he saw mine, but he said he would send it to some other teachers and see what they think. And so, along with the film, I wrote several paragraphs on why I think it should be included, on why I think the scene is important, on why I think, it's relevant to what the film is trying to say, and that I am trying to say something, and that it wasn't just shocking to be shocking or gross to be gross or, whatever. And I was very detailed, very thorough. I quoted Martin Scorsese, I quoted Patrick Willems, I did, tried to make my point as clear as possible, and they said no poop specifically. And so I cut that scene and frantically put together a new scene, and then I turned that in like a day before it was due because I had only found out that I couldn't play it like 2 days before it was due. And then when I showed him the censored cut, it was still too much, and that I couldn't include the fart noises because fart jokes was just too much for kids. And so I cut that scene even more, and I had to cut the song. And so a very bastardized version of the film played at the film contest.
I apologize for the inconvenience, but unfortunately the following scene had to be cut. Because apparently is not suitable for young children and families. They won't even let me say the word. They won't even let me myself. But please, enjoy the rest of the film.
The ironic thing about the whole situation was that the cut that I submitted, that I then had to censor again and again, was actually a censored cut of the initial film I was planning to make. Basically, throughout the entire process of writing, filming, and even storyboarding, I had the idea that there would be two different versions of the film. One that would be a lot grosser, a little bit longer, there would be different takes, is going to have a completely different ending, and basically what was going to happen was that John, the main character, his whole life was going to be portrayed on the TV screen. And it was going to start with this really grotesque birthing scene, and it would pause, and the characters would come out on screen, and I like the scene on its own, and there was one line in it that I really liked in particular that's now the tagline of the movie. It just didn't work though. It just didn't make sense. It just didn't fit the tone either. And so what I ended up doing was, I cut that ending. I didn't even film that scene actually. And I basically just combined the two versions. And so it's sillier and, funny, but it's not like too much. The writing the film was actually pretty easy. It was a little hard making it personal at first, just because they picked the theme of the film for you, which doesn't make any sense to me. Um, but after that, it was pretty easy because I've always been infatuated with the idea of a killer TV. I thought it would make a great slasher movie. I've written several scripts, different scripts about the idea. I had my second ever short film is about a killer TV. The first ever comic I made when I was like 8 is about a killer TV who uses like the cord to hang someone. And anyway, the ideas really interested me. So I took like a small bit from a script I was going to film in February and it just didn't work out. And I basically turned that into the whole film. So I just kind of I had the basic idea and I just rewrote it a bit. The filming of the movie was also surprisingly easy. Um, there were a lot of problems. I guess maybe I was just more equipped to handle them because I've been making a lot of short films lately. And, the biggest challenge was probably that my friend, who's the lead actor, who isn't really an actor, I just somehow convinced him to do these. He doesn't like fake blood or getting it on his face. And, so originally he was going to be covered like head to toe with blood and fake poop. And uh, we had to compromise a bit. So he was uncomfortable, but I'm pretty happy with the amount of blood and poop that's on him in that movie. One of the things was that for all the scenes where the cord is in his mouth, I made a fake cord, which is just string with tape around it. But when he wanted, had it in his mouth, he didn't want to put the duct tape in his mouth. And so he just wrapped it around with toilet paper and paper towels. And so he had this wad of paper in his mouth. So when the blood is coming out of his mouth, it's only coming out from the sides. There's a lot of more blood in his mouth than that. And so that was difficult. And we only got 2 takes of that. And the other one was unusable because he accidentally swallowed the blood. And the other effect we made for the film was that we had a cord and we put like this metal thing in it to like keep it straight so when it goes across the TV. But I'm an idiot, so I was doing the scene where it comes out of my butt. And so what I did for some reason was I didn't film the scene about it going across the TV. Instead, I did the pants scene first where I bent the metal thing, so I put it in the front of my pants. I bent it and made it so it would go out the hole in the back of my pants. And basically, I just, would yank it so it would try to get out the hole. And it kept getting stuck on the pants, and we had to do that shot for, at least like 40 minutes, and we had so many takes, and it was so painful because basically parts of the metal ripped out of the tape because I was yanking it so much. And so when I yanked it, eventually the cord would come out, but the metal would just go right up my and it was very painful. And afterwards I had to walk with a limp and everything. It was just disgusting. Wouldn't recommend doing that. And then because it broke, it had to be remade, so the next day I could film the shot of it going across the TV. The shot towards the end with the static and the eyes and the mouth and stuff, that shot didn't come out exactly how I wanted it to, so I had to do a lot of editing to get that at a point where I was happy with it. But, other than that, everything, went pretty well. Nothing really went wrong. What the fuck? Now for the making of Electrical Violator, I'm going to show you some brand new behind-the-scenes footage of the making of Electrical Violator. And I wrote several fuck. Of all the film students who want to fuck. Three... Fuck. Back and if I could play it or not. Fuck. Basically all the film students who wanted to... Now for the making of Electrical Violator, I'll show you exactly where I filmed the making of Electrical Violator.
Now that is content.